Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Wine. Welcome back to art class. Today our learning target says, I will create the main form for my Calder-inspired sculpture by cutting and folding paper. So today we will be creating a sculpture. Remember, a sculpture is a piece of three-dimensional art. Today you will need your base that you created last class. This is what we're going to be gluing everything onto. And you will also need either a piece of black construction paper or red construction paper. The reason we are using black or red is, as you can see from these photographs, most of Calder's large sculptures were either red or black. It doesn't matter which one you choose. I think today I'm going to go with the black. So once you've chosen your paper, the next thing you need to do is you need to think about what kind of edges do you see in Alexander Calder's sculpture. Let's zoom in just a little bit so we can look at some of those edges up close. I see some edges that look like curved lines. I see some edges that look like little wavy lines. I see edges that look like zigzags. This one almost looks like an upside down staircase, along with some large curves. Today, when you're deciding what kind of edges you want to have, it is also important that you think about what kind of shapes you have on your base. You want to create unity in your whole artwork. Unity is a word that means everything looks like it goes together. So when I look at my base, I see that I use lots of curved shapes that were inspired by Calder's paintings. Therefore, when I create my sculpture today, I think I'm going to stick with some big curves because that's going to help my artwork match my base. So once I have my ideas set, I can move my base aside and I'm ready to get started. I will need my paper, I will need scissors, a pencil, and some glue stick. So remember from our practice sculpture, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your paper and you're going to fold it in half. I'm going to line up the corners. And then I hold it still, I press it in the middle, and when I get a nice fold. Then when I did my original sculpture, I was making that just all with curved lines. Now that I'm doing my final sculpture, this is where I can bring in a few interesting edges from Calder's sculpture. So I think I'm going to start my sculpture with a little curve here at the top, and I'm going to just sort of plan it out. And then I'm going to have one of those big giant rainbow curves. And I know that I need the strips on my sculpture to be kind of wide. Oh, and I almost forgot, I need to draw that line. You can use a ruler, or I can just use an edge of my paper. So I do need that line that is about 1/4 of an inch. That way I don't cut too far. So I drew my line close to the edge, but not quite on the edge. And now instead of just having those simple rainbow curves, here's where I'm going to start to incorporate some of those big curves that I see in Calder's sculpture. So I'm going to start here at the top. I'm starting at the line, and I'm going to have a line, instead of being straight, I'm going to have a line that curves a little bit. Not too wiggly, because remember, whatever it is I make, I'm going to have to cut. So there's one curved line. I could follow that with a straight one or another curvy one. I don't want it to be too curvy. So I think I'm going to follow that one with a straight, like a little rainbow curve. And then I'm going to have one more that's a little bit wiggly. So remember, I'm not drawing past that line. And now I'm going to have one more that's a little wiggly. And remember, I only need 2 or 3 lines, not too many. Once I have done that, I'm ready to start cutting. So my first cut, I'm actually going to be cutting this curved edge off. And this piece that I cut off, that's going to be garbage. And now I'm going to cut on the rest of these lines, but remember, I'm going to stop when I get to this edge. I should not be creating any more garbage. So now it's time to fold the edges of my sculpture. Remember, when I was cutting, I made sure I cut through everything at once so I can open it up and see. And now I'm ready to do some folding. So this is the part that's kind of tricky. I'm going to take the first edge and I'm going to fold it back. Then I'm going to take my whole sculpture, I'm going to flip it over, and now I'm going to take not the first one, but the second one, and fold it back. I take the whole sculpture, I flip it over, I fold the next edge back, and I take the whole sculpture, I flip it over, and I fold the last edge back. And then, as you can see, my sculpture starts to stand up. Now this is the part where I need to fold myself some feet so I have something to glue. So if you need to, you can grab a ruler and I can take that ruler and I can use the ruler. I just need a tiny little foot so that I have something to put the glue on. And once I've folded back my feet, I'm ready to start arranging my sculpture onto my base. So I want to make sure that I stand it up. I want to make sure that I look at it from all sides. If I need to bend another piece so that the sculpture stands a little firmer or looks a little more interesting, that's fine. And I also want to think about where I am placing it on my base. Do I want it right in the middle? Do I want it a little offset to the side? I can decide. And then once I'm ready, I can start gluing. So when I'm ready to glue, I'm going to take the glue stick, twist it up. I'm going to put a little glue stick on one of the feet. And then I just take a moment and I'm going to press that foot down on my paper. I like to start with the outside feet first. think that helps my sculpture stand. And that's it for this step. So once I have glued my feet and I've made sure that my sculpture is standing tall and strong, then I'm ready to move on to the final step, which will be next week. Don't forget to turn your sculpture around, look at it from all sides as you're gluing, and make sure that everything looks the way you want. I hope you have a wonderful week. I can't wait to see what your final sculptures look like. And until next time, keep on creating.